County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative record vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas section 21.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 6.
I can hear you all set.
71D, the code of procedure requires notification by the school board that such closed meetings were conducted conforming with Virginia law. Now therefore be resolved that the Accomack County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. May I have roll call?
Present.
Mr. Taylor.
Present.
Ms. Johnson. Present. Mr. Hill.
Here.
Ms. Hamlin. Here. Ms. Whipper.
Here.
Ms. Turner.
Here.
Ms. Bowman. Here. Ms. White.
Present.
Dr. Moore. Ms. Present.
We now stand and pledge the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented for October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of the September 17th?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the 09/17/2024 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Is there a motion on the personnel list?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list as amended.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the personnel list? Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion on the long-term suspension?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve case number 01001-2401, long-time suspension as presented.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. We have staff and student comments. Mr. Cora Owens. Oh, I'm sorry. Ed's gonna read the rules for.
Rules of staff and student comment. 1, identify yourself by name and 911 address. 2, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. 3, individuals may reserve or transfer their time to another speaker. 4, specific personnel matters must not be initiated at a public meeting. 5, speakers cannot be abusive, threatening, or use profanity. 6, specify the nature of your remarks. 7, speakers who have previously spoken on a subject for public comment should not be allowed to readdress the board during the same public comment period. 8, specific questions should be resolved prior to the meeting by contacting the superintendent or the appropriate staff member. 9, anyone who would like to present a PowerPoint presentation for public comment has to present the presentation 24 hours in advance for review by the staff for appropriateness. And 10, all questions shall be directed to the chairman or chairwoman, who will be at her discretion to solicit the response from the appropriate staff member.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Owens.
Good evening, Sephora Owens, 13178 Pardon Creek Road, Exmoor, Virginia. I contemplated addressing the board tonight because I haven't been to the gym and I didn't want Ms. Burford's video to get my non-slim side, but I'm going to suck it up literally and figuratively. I'm speaking to you tonight to address some things that have been weighing heavily on me regarding comments regarding division level promotions, the constant and incorrect commentary regarding sorority ties, and the recent decision to reconsider the compensation study that was initially approved. Point number 1, I'm a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. There are many great and influential women that are also part of the sorority. They include Vice President Kamala Harris, esteemed author and poet Maya Angelou, First Lady of the Civil Rights Movement Rosa Parks, and many, many more. And contrary to popular belief, Dr. Hall is not a member of this sorority, and it seems as if no matter how many times individuals are corrected regarding this, the comments keep being made, and it makes me wonder, are those individuals who continue to spread this false information insinuating that all Black women must be one and the same? Which brings me to point number 2. There are some individuals at this meeting, reporting on this meeting on Facebook News, that seem to have a problem with the position that I obtained and the pay raise that came along with it. And I would just like to clarify and set the record straight. My advancement to my current position of K-8 Curriculum Coordinator is a direct result of my qualifications, experience, and dedication to the staff and students of Accomack County Public Schools. I have consistently demonstrated my commitment to excellence in education and have worked hard to develop the skills necessary to contribute effectively to our school's mission. It is disheartening to hear the rhetoric continue, suggesting that my promotion was based solely on being buddies or again sorority sisters with the superintendent. Such comments undermine the professionalism and effort I have invested in my role. And my last point is in regards to the compensation study and the disrespectful and downright hateful comments that have been made. It appears inconsistent and unfair to initiate a study aimed at ensuring equitable compensation for our staff, only to retract support upon realizing who would benefit from the findings. It seems to reflect personal opinions rather than evidence-based data. I ask you to reflect on this. Think of any of your family members that are in education that may have started as a substitute teacher, become a science teacher, assistant principal, and then coordinator. Would there be a problem with the compensation study findings then if it was their names attached to the Facebook negative Nancy posts or secret group chats that are not so secret, or is it simply because it's me? I just want to tell you this, that I'm tired and I just want to do my job. I tell you that the students of Accomack County Public Schools deserve a champion of education in their corner, and you are looking at her. Sephora Owens, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and the newest member of the Central Office crew.
Thank you. Ms. Stella Jordan.
Good evening, everyone, board, and everyone here present today. I also come to you all with, I emailed the board on Thursday, September 26th, with no response. Therefore, I decided to take my issue public as well. I came to Accomack County in 2017 from a leadership position in Hampton City Schools. I took the vice president position at Arcadia High School with a $6,000 pay cut. When I got promoted to this position as coordinator of student services, I literally walked into Mr. Hall's salary, still no consideration of my years of experience and or credentials. It was the same way Dr. Hall walked into the role of superintendent, earning the same pay as Mr. Holland at that time, which caused the community to go into an uproar. What this study did for me was give me my years of experience that I brought here with me, not acknowledging my credentials that I worked hard to obtain and the personal goals and family expectations. I am conscientious enough to know that Accomack County does not have the industry or revenue afforded to the districts across the Bay or Somerset County that tourists pour into Ocean City because they make money to generate money to get money. In closing, I am attaching my resume, which I will give to everyone present again, with 4 pages of a resume in education that I have dedicated to the students and people everywhere I go with my credentials. That being said, it has been disheartening that we, as much as the board talks about bullying and different things in school settings, there's also been bullying upon our level, which no one seems to acknowledge or defend us in our jobs. We all come to work every day, work hard every day, and run this division with integrity and fidelity. That is my notion, and I'm going to speak for everyone else. At that, I am the coordinator of student services, I am Accomack County Public Schools, and I am Central Office. Thank you.
You can post that.
I'm fact checking you.
We have
what sorority?
Yes, I'm a member of sorority. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which when I was hired here, no one knew that during my interview. Just a coincidence, because there's 350,000 of us that don't all happen to be one too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Good evening and welcome to Shingatig Elementary School. We're pleased to have you here tonight. It's always a pleasure to see each of you. Tonight you will hear several presentations, and we will have a presentation from a 4th grade student whose name is Finn O'Connor. And then you will hear from Kate O'Connor, a parent, and then Karen Atkins, who is our reading specialist. And then after Karen Atkins, I will come back to the podium and I'll share the story of Shingatig Elementary School. Thank you.
My favorite subject in school is VA Studies. I like it because it's new and interesting to learn about the location and the Native Americans. My classroom is really great because I sit next to people I like and I have a good view of everything I need to see. My teacher helps me learn about things like math, reading, science, and history. My favorite special is music because it is fun to learn about instruments and different music. One thing that would make school better is having double recess. I think we should have double recess because kids can get tired and listen better. These are all the things that make CES a great school.
Hi. Just a little bit. My name is Kate O'Connor. I'm a parent of 3 children, one of whom you just heard from. I have 2 here at CES, 2nd and 4th grade, and I have 1 at the middle school as well. I also work as a reading tutor here at the school. So I was asked to speak, and I thought I'd just give a brief overview of some of the things that we have going on at CES and some of the programs we have. We have a lot of really awesome things coming up in the next couple months. At CES, we have a wonderful PTA. We have a lot of dedicated parents and teachers, and they work really hard to try and get our kids involved in our school and our community. And they plan lots of fun things. We've got the pumpkin tour coming up. We have CES After Dark. These are all just great ways to get our kids involved in our community. We've also had a couple fundraisers that help us raise money for things like Field Day. There's also a new fundraiser that they started this year. They're doing birthday grams, which the whole point of that is you can buy a little gift bag for your child, or kids can buy it for their friends. The whole point is so that all the kids on Field Day have a shirt that they don't have to pay for, so that all kids are included in that, and it's not a cost that parents have to front. So like I said, lots of great fundraisers. We also have book fair coming up, which all of our kids look forward to, and with Miss Mason as our librarian. It is a visual sensory experience. She's fantastic. One of the programs that is wonderful here at CES, and I know a lot of other schools participate in, is the Beta program. Miss Atkins behind me will probably maybe talk about it a little bit. I don't want to steal any comments or thoughts you have. So this program just recognizes kids who consistently get good grades, kids who show excellent character, and it's a program that helps kids learn to be good leaders. So they have a convention in February. My oldest got to almost participate in that. He got to go to all the after-school activities. They get to participate in events like engineering and robotics. There's book battle, there's visual arts, like a painting. You go and you paint in person, and then that's judged. We missed last year's because my oldest was diagnosed with COVID the day before they left, but this year we're gonna make it with that one and his older brother. We also have the Reflections program. I don't know how many are
familiar with that, I assume most schools participate. It's an almost 60-year-old arts program that encourages children to make their own original art. Hundreds of thousands of students participate every year, and they can choose a lot of different categories. There's dance and choreography, there's music composition, visual arts, literature, photography, lots of different avenues for them to express themselves. So those entries we have due November 1st, and one of the things that we do at CES is we have the teachers use the theme. This year, I think the theme is Overcoming Imperfection. I'm not making that up, right? That sounds right. So the teachers will use that as a writing prompt, and that way all of our kids have at least one entry in the literature category. But we encourage all of our kids to participate. They can enter into as many categories as they'd like. And last year and the year before, I think we had kids that participated and won at the state and the national level. It's always really, really incredible. And I wish I had some of their examples, but we send them home for parents to keep because they obviously want them. But it's always amazing to see what these kids come up with. So providing art programs, even simple ones like the Reflections contest, can get kids really excited about art. And as much as it seems like an extra thing sometimes, having those programs, the kids that participate in art, the kids that take music lessons or participate in theater, take dance lessons, those are the kids that have higher reading levels. They have more writing achievements, they have better critical thinking skills, they have higher school attendance rates, and overall better confidence, which are all good things. So really glad that our school participates, and also all of our other schools that do. If by any chance anyone is interested in acting as a judge, I'm on the Reflections Committee. So if you would be interested in judging entries, please reach out because we still need them. As I said before, my kids are in 2nd and 4th grade here at the elementary school, and their teachers are incredible. They do as much hands-on learning as time permits. Our 4th graders recently made like a topographical map with all of Virginia's regions in Play-Doh. They also had some sort of graphing activity with coins where they looked at all the dates, and Finn told me that one was all the way from 1985. So when kids are excited about math, that their teachers are onto something. And I can't talk about my kids' academic success without talking about their teachers. As much as teaching, I think, is looked at as a family-friendly occupation, it's really not. It requires so much work and dedication and time and patience and energy. And I think it can be some of the most emotionally draining, emotionally fraught work that there is. I'll get notifications on a Friday night while I'm watching a movie at 11 p.m. that my child's grades are updated. Every Sunday I get notifications on Class Dojo with all of the dates of tests coming up, what teachers are going over in their classes. They're always working, and they're always there for our kids, especially at CES. I know especially in recent years, our teachers have had to navigate inclusion with lots of children with severe mental and behavioral needs in their classroom, and it's a real challenge. Sometimes they do this with little to no additional support, and these are students who, through no fault of their own, have a struggle sitting for long periods of time. Sometimes they might not have the capacity or the maturity to keep their hands to themselves. So these teachers really, they have to juggle meeting the needs of those students and the highest students in their classrooms. So this is a really uniquely difficult challenge, and these teachers come back to school every day and they meet those challenges. And they still give my kids the best education that they have. And I can't think of a more difficult job. They do everything that they can to make our kids feel safe and help them thrive despite these difficulties and sometimes difficult classroom dynamics. But Chincoteague Elementary has fantastic teachers and amazing kids. I'm continually amazed at the dedication of the people who work here every day. I'm going to give you a quote from George Washington Carver. He said that education is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. And I hope that CES can continue to be that key for our kids.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Karen Atkins, like she said, I'm the training specialist here. Thank you for coming to our little island school tonight. Change of plans, I know because of the weather, but we're glad to have you. And I'm very proud to work at Chincoteague Elementary School. And while we face all the same challenges as other elementary schools, I feel we also have some differences that set us apart. We're smaller numbers than other schools may be, and while that does create sometimes some staffing challenges and sometimes makes scheduling difficult, being small is an advantage. We make it work. We make it an advantage here. This year we added higher than usual new students to our school with the rezoning, but by now, a month into school, we pretty much know everybody, or we soon will. Again, I think it's an advantage of a small school to be able to walk down the hallway and you know all the students. And our classes frequently are able to collaborate with each other. And being a teacher, it's a change. It's a change all the time, from year to year, to month, to day. Some recent research has said that teachers make over 1,500 decisions every single day, about 3 every single minute. And that's after they've spent hours reviewing the new SOLs and looking at curriculum and planning for these kids. These are the decisions that are made on the instant, on the fly, because they're teaching their lesson, they're looking out and they realize, oh, I might need to do one more modeled example before I turn them loose independently, or the opposite. Maybe they see the kids are getting it. It's like, I can cut some of this modeling because we can get them into that independent work faster. Sometimes it's noticing that a child, the look on their face, they're reaching that frustration level and they have to try to de-escalate a problem before it causes an issue. Just today, a teacher was sharing that a child shared with her that when he got mad today, he's learned that instead of slamming his computer, he was going to take a breath and put his hands behind his back. But those types of things only come because the teachers are building relationships here with their students. And sometimes that's exhausting. It's a lot of work. A lot goes into planning that's more than just these SOLs, more than just making sure we hit those challenges and that level of independence that we want for them. And every day, the teachers are here early, they're here after school, prepping, reworking their plans, getting ready to do it all again the next day. This year, we've already faced at Shingatig and across the county in Virginia a lot of changes with reading instruction, with the first full implementation year of the Virginia Literacy Act, and also the restructuring of our SOLs. The Virginia Department of Education has really developed a plan that supports our teachers and changing what this reading instruction is going to look like to help our students. The state's made available many training opportunities and resources that we've taken advantage of at Shingatig. The central office team has just been incredibly responsive to our questions, and I've sent a lot, and getting us anything we've needed to make sure that we're implementing the BLA for the best of our students. We just finished up our new literacy screening at grades 1st through 3rd. This will help identify students that have a high risk of reading difficulties. The next step is to create a student reading plan for each one of those students to address those specific needs. And one part of that we're getting ready to jump into is parental input. Parents have an option, several different ways that they can provide input, because we have to include the parents. They're a vital part of the relationship we build with our students. At Shingatig, we also try to have parents involved in other areas of our school life, of building our community to support that student. Parents and students make their first contact at open house, which is a very exciting time. Teachers get to show their classroom, tell them how it's going to work, show how it's organized. And I will say, I get to sit out front for open house, and as excited as kids were to meet their teacher and see their friends after summer, this floor kind of took the stage. They were just as excited about seeing our new gym floor. They showed it off to parents with pride, even though it was their first time seeing it for most of them. So we thought they would have helped put the floor down. A few weeks later, we go into back to school night. There was a shift that happens then, because then instead of the teacher being in charge of the classroom and showing where everything is, these shy little kids that we saw in August, that we know are not really shy, 2 weeks later, back to school night, all the personality came out, and then it switched. They were showing the classroom because it was their community then. In August, it was the teacher's classroom they were coming into. By back to school night, it was their community, it was their classroom. That's what our teachers do here. And I know it happens at other schools, but I work here and I get to see it firsthand here. And it's all those connections with the students, the teachers, and the parents. We also have a great PTA at Shingatig Elementary that go above and beyond, providing recognition for our students, jumping in whenever anything is needed for the classroom or our school. Right now, as Ms. O'Connor mentioned, they're preparing for the annual pumpkin tour, and one of the big things that does is brings in the community. great community on Chincoteague and off the island. And the pumpkin tour really helps get them in as a first kind of dose to something we're doing here at our school. My own two sons came through Chincoteague Elementary School. They're now a 7th grader and a senior. So I've seen this not only as a teacher, but also as a parent. And I know what happens when parents, teachers, administration, community all work together for our kids. And again, thanks for coming tonight. I hope you can come back when all of these students are in our building, and we appreciate your support throughout the year.
Thank you very much.
Again, welcome to Chincoteague Elementary School. I'm with the Colts, and we're together, everyone achieves more. The mission of Chincoteague Elementary School is to provide a nurturing environment in which all students become productive, responsible citizens. Our staff is committed to fostering a partnership between home, school, and community in order to develop the full potential of each individual student. The slide that's up now shows data from the spring of 2022. As you can see there, we were red in the area of English, and then you go down a couple rows, and there is yellow in the area of math. So level 3 is red, and level 2 is yellow. The next slide also shows SOL data from the year 2022 in the areas of subgroups. In the area of Black students, we were red, level 3. In the area of students with disability, we were a level 3, red, and this is in the area of reading, language arts. And then to the right side, you can see we were a level 2 in math. Regarding the Black students, we were a level 3 with students with disabilities. The next slide shows the SOL results from year 2023. As you can see, we have one area of yellow, which indicates a level 2 among all students in the area of reading, language arts. And then we were red in the area of chronic absenteeism. So we still were not in good shape at this point. Still had a lot of work to do. And results of 2023, once again, you see the red. When you see red, it's not a good indication, and this indicates students with disabilities were at the level 3 in the area of reading, language arts. The next slide we'll share with you are the results of the most recent 2024 spring data. This slide will share with you that we are now level 1 in the area of English, reading, language arts. We are now level 1 in all subgroups in the area of reading, language arts. We are now level 1 in the area of math and in all subgroups in the area of math. We are also level 1 in the area of science, and then also in the area of absenteeism. We are a level 1. So now we've made it, we've made great gains, but the focus for the 2024-25 school year is that we maintain level 1 status in all subject areas. We want to maintain proficient scores in all subgroups in the areas of reading, language arts, math, science, and Virginia studies. At Chincoteague Elementary School, there is a school environment where teachers feel free to approach administration with their concerns. I am a firm believer in teamwork and collaboration. CES teachers are encouraged to maintain learning-focused classrooms, and they are expected to present curriculum to support active and engaged learning. At Chincoteague Elementary School, we work together to monitor student progress, identify student potential, and to meet the needs of all students. Tonight, I would like to hand out to you the school profile for Chincoteague Elementary School. And this is a 5-page report, and it will share with you the scores that we obtained this year and all subgroups. And I'd like to share that with you because our teachers work very hard. They're very proud of their results, and they're very deserving of recognition. And we're very proud of it. Oh, thank you. Of the accomplishments they have made.
Congratulations on being all in green. That's a great job.
Thank you. Yes, we're all in green.
Congratulations to all your staff. and faculty. Thanks to your crew.
Yes, thank you. You all did a wonderful job as always, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me? I would just like to say before I leave tonight, that tomorrow, October 2nd, is Custodian Workers Recognition Day. And I would like to say before the board that I'm thankful for our custodians. Mr. Alvin and Miss Tammy do an awesome job. And they set up here tonight for you all, and they are just always working, and we appreciate them so much. So I just want to share that with you all. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Please get a snack before you leave. There's some cookies and some sweets over there. So please enjoy, and thank you.
We appreciate the hospitality. Item 7.01, give some updates.
Let's start. We have a couple of the updates, the badge access, and the date is attached here, but I'll tell you that the access is, right now, all of our schools, in this first month are full with attendance. So we don't have any new problems right now, but we're gonna continue to monitor it because we want to ensure that every school is done right, Jimmy developed it, and they are all going for next year. So we're okay with that percentage right now. Back removal. Well, it started last Saturday, and the back people were there all day, and they worked, and then they came back today. And what they're doing is they're working on sealing of building openings and installation of the back cones. And they'll be back, as I said, they came back today. And, Bev has some updates for today, but that's what they're doing also. They're putting the cones in, but they're also, monitoring, Daniel Middle School, because we talked about that before. The backs will leave Daniel High School, and they will go where they can get into or somewhere else. So she has some updates from
So what they've been doing is they've sealed the openings, but they can't seal all of them because they have to put the cones in. So they finished with the cones today, now they have to wait 5 days. And then after 5 days, they come back and see if there are any bats left. There are no bats visible. They evaluated the middle school, and they're looking at the area around the louvers, which we have covered on the inside, but we don't want them like hanging in there. So, but that's something our own maintenance staff can do. And there are no visible presence of bats in the area like we were kind of worried about. So they are waiting the 5 days, and then they will come back and re-inspect to make sure that there are no signs of the bats. Then they'll take the cones down and finish resealing those openings where the cones were up. No signs of bats
What kind of cones? I mean,
There's some kind of cone that goes in the weep hole, and the bag can come out, and they're drawn out, but they cannot get back in again. They prevent re-entry.
And Mandela is the only building that's constructed that way.
Well, if you look at, we learned a lot about weep holes, and I don't know Bobby Bennett, but if you look walking in our building, if you're walking from courthouse, and you're walking in our building, there are these little holes periodically at the bottom. Well, the holes in there are like they're the whole, there's no water in there. So, I don't know why that happened, that was a long, long time ago, but it wasn't constructed properly. They should be a little hole that is 3/8 of an inch in diameter. And it has a rope, but apparently you can't see the rope to wick out the moisture. Apparently you can't see that. But the ones at Nandua are this tall. That's the problem.
Mr. Grayson, thank you.
So the Arcadia High School bleachers are completed and they're in cement now, opposed to being on the shelves that they were on. Law enforcement, you have that printout there of all the local law enforcement that have badges. Bison and the manpower, the only two local that have not shown up to get the badges as of yet. The HR dashboard, PJ just gave you, an update on that, showing you how many, the number of vacancies we still have, and how many, teachers that we still need, and he's gonna continue to update that. The ERP, well, unfortunately, we had to push it back again, so the ERP is not gonna go live in October or start today. It's gonna go live on the 1st of, January. They had several challenges, and, they had a challenge with the new deduction codes for the insurance change over, new voluntary plans, changes in pay rates was a challenge, changes in VRS was a challenge, so those were some of the challenges they had with trying to go live, the 1st of October. Good news of it is there was no additional costs that we're having to extend it a little bit longer. Yes.
I missed the date, what was the date?
January 1st, now, the date, January 1st.
Thank you.
So they still have, the leave policies and balances, the leave of the, employees and their balances are put in there. The bank, the final training, including with the direct deposit, bank reconciliation training, new check printers with a magnetic ink and checks on order, so they do have some of those things remaining to do with the ERP. The vape sensors, you also have an estimate of those, there in front of you. When I talked to Mr. Bennett about that, he, as you can see, it's listed there, all the different ones that he's talked to. And he does not recommend the wireless ones because of the connections in the buildings, and, you will have to have a connection in order to use those detectors, on your phones and your computers. So, he said that, both the identity and the Rotida have reduced their costs on the proposal to gain our business. And, the identity, Halo sensors and the Prada SV23 sensors have many capabilities beyond just date detectors. Some examples include noise, after-hour motion detectors, keywords, temperature, humidity, and tampering monitoring. And we also noted that the identity offers, the first year free, just to get our business. So if we were to enter into their 5-year agreement, it would mean that we would have it for 6 years. Mr. Bennett is also working to get demonstrations set up with both of those two companies, and they're gonna be virtual. So, he said, I don't think we need to pursue the wireless option because the cell service is very weak.
The IT building is complete except for the HVAC unit for the server room. It shipped on September 28th, and installation should be complete the week of October 14th. We have begun moving things into the space because the rest of the building is conditioned, just not the room for the servers, but the servers aren't in there anyway. So we have begun moving in.
When do we, anticipate to move the servers, or like an end date?
I think that's a decision Mr. Bowden's gonna make. I think I did hear him say he wanted to do it over a holiday break.
And the last thing on the list is OPEB reconnect students. So right now for if we're still considering a house, Mimi is working on a contract because we have to have a contract. And we have to get our attorney to look over the contract, make sure with liability and everything that's there. So our OPEB students have not moved yet. When the board tells me that we can move them from the store, and when we can move those into the, reconnect building, we'll make that transition.
So we had talked at previous meeting about possibly using the, reconnect site until the house can be ready. Would the board like to consider that? Giving Dr. Hall the authority to put the children at reconnect until the house can be ready? Because we don't know how long that's gonna take.
Chair, I move that we, allow Dr. Hall to reconnect.
Before we open, how long do you think it's gonna take?
Well, she hasn't given us a contract yet, so she is working with her organization to draw the contract, so that we can get it, and get out of order, so that we make sure that everything is above board, before we bring it back to the board. Say it's okay to sign.
So it would be a long enough time to just work the numbers.
Well, the reconnect trailer is open and ready for business. I think there's only one or two children there.
Only one, and then tonight,
And so they could, I mean, all the desks are already there, they're just waiting. So there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And there's a motion, and a second to, allow Dr. Hall to move the all-in children to the reconnect trailer until the house can possibly be ready. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. And the badges, I see that's great, all the Shindig officers went and got theirs done. What is the process? Can they just email their photo, or they have to?
We streamlined it to get more people in, so they, were able to cope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, we streamlined the process, so where the chiefs were reaching out to us and giving us information about their, officers, and we did the paperwork, in-house, and then we even had people who, for example, live on Shingatig, deliver the badges to the sheriff's department, so we accommodated, some of the inconveniences of coming all the way to Accomack and whatnot,
So we have Parksley and
correct. I can try to reach out to them again, I did that a few weeks ago.
do they not want to participate, or?
I'm not sure, you know, maybe their towns are not wanting them to participate, I don't know. I don't want to speak for them.
If you could reach out, just, so then we can button this whole thing up and.
I'll reach
It's been
out.
going on for a while, that's all.
For sure.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anybody have any questions about any of the other updates? Should we move on to the compensation study?
Okay, Earlier today, we met with Ally from Evergreen, and board chair had asked me to recrunch some numbers and include an original cohort, and I believe Somerset County and Northampton County, and I believe Ally has some information for you all to share.
So before we see that information, Madam Chair, I understand our HR director to say that our chair asked for the numbers to be crunched based on those counties. That wasn't agreed upon by us as a board, as I recall. Shall we do that now? Well, I actually was calling, that's, as the chair, that's your privilege, but I'm offering that we are about to receive information that was not requested by this board. Would you like to vote on that now? I'm asking that you attend to the fact that we're about to receive information we didn't ask for. When I asked for it, no one objected. It wasn't. Would anyone like to make a motion that we review the data from Evergreen about our original cohort group?
I would move that we go ahead and review the data, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Nay. How many nays are there? Two nays, right? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ally,
May I just say that it is important to me that the distinction is made between this information comparing two counties to the 18 that looked at before. There's a huge difference.
okay. Ally, would you like to proceed?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you can, so again, my name is Ally Conklin, Senior Consultant with Evergreen Solutions. Happy to join and share some additional information with you all. And wanted to review what was originally presented to you, and then, review the additional information that was requested, that we put together. So what you have in front of you is the original peer list that we completed our original salary survey with. So data was solicited from 18 peers, which are the market peers that are shown on the right screen here. And then you see there are some peers that have stars next to them. Those star peers are the ones that were originally requested for inclusion by the prior HR director in the division, who is no longer with us. So the original peers selected by the division, or the HR director, Ms. Whitelock, she requested that we include Accomack County Government, Northampton Public Schools, Worcester County Public Schools, and then she also requested information from 3 private entities. Since private entities are not subject to the same public records laws that government entities are, we were not able to collect salary information from those entities, but we did include some private data from the Economic Research Institute that was provided under separate cover, so that is not included here. But since we do like to have additional information, we like to have at least 15 to 20 years to make sure that we have good data for inclusion. Evergreen did suggest some additional peers that rounded out our list of 18 here. So the other peers that were not requested by Accomack County Public Schools were identified as ones that would be close in proximity to the division, and they represent employers that the division often competes with for quality employees, or they may have a similar structure, size, offerings, and budget to that of the division. So that just an overview of how these peers were selected. We proposed these additional peers, and then this list was approved by the division leadership. We do recognize that these peers can be quite different economically from that of Accomack County schools. So all data points that we received adjusted based on a cost of living index. And I've included the cost of living indices for each of these tiers. So this information is collected by the Council for Community and Economic Research, and they provide the cost of living index for each county based on over 60 different factors, including the pricing of groceries, housing, utilities, transportation, and health care. So an example of those factors include the price of a pound of ground beef, the price of a carton of eggs, and the average price of a doctor visit, just to name a few. So just to give you an idea of how this cost of living index was determined for each of these different areas. So just to summarize that, so of these 18 tiers that were originally included, all of the rates and all of the data that we received from each of those tiers was adjusted for this cost of living index for each of those areas to bring it to the value of an Accomack County dollar. If you could go to the next slide. So looking at that information, again, adjusted for that cost of living, we used 74 classifications as benchmarks, so classifications were positions within the division, and we collected over 750 data points. So I want to clarify that when we're matching data with our peers, or with your market peers, we're matching based on the roles and responsibilities that we collected from your employees, not the job title, as it may be called something different in another area. And these results were originally finalized in May of this year. I want to stress that this is looking at your pay ranges, not actual salaries. So this is looking at your listed pay range for each position that we included in the market salary, not individual employee salaries. So we're looking at the original peer list of the 18 peers, looking at the 50th percentile. So the 50th percentile, if you think about it in terms of a bell curve, 50th percentile puts you right in the middle of that bell curve. So half of your peers will be paying less than you, half of your peers will be paying more than you. On average, the Accomack County Schools pay ranges are on average roughly 8.3% below that of your market peers when adjusted for cost of living and adjusted for that bell curve. At the midpoint, Accomack County Schools pay ranges on average at the midpoint, in the middle of your pay ranges, are roughly 10.6% below that of your market peers. And at the maximum, so the very highest end of your pay ranges, are on average roughly 13.1% below that of your market peers. The average range spread for your market peers is 54.2%. So range spread is the distance from the minimum starting salary to the maximum earning salary. So on average, your peers had a range spread of 54% between their minimums to their maximums. Accomack County Public Schools, your average range spread for the included classifications, so for those 74 classifications that we use, your average range spread is roughly 45.9%. So this is why you're losing ground going from the minimum to the maximum of your pay range, because your ranges are on average narrower than that of your market peers. So that is the original data that we used in this study. If we can go to the next slide. So we did receive a request last week to revise our peer list at the request of the board and or division leadership. So we revised our peer list to include 11 peers. So 8 of these peers were included in the original data set, and then 3 additional peers were included for comparison, and you see those in the green text here. So we added Motorola County Public Schools, King George County Public Schools, and Shenandoah County Public Schools. Again, these peer rates were adjusted for the cost of living in Accomack County, and you see their cost of living indices there on the right. Go to the next slide. So looking overall, again, we looked at your 74 classifications used as benchmarks. Again, we matched data with your peers based on the roles and responsibilities for each position and not the job title. We were able to collect over 470 data points, so we're looking at a smaller subset of data. So again, we went from 18 peers to 11, so each of these data points are going to carry a little bit more weight. But looking at just this subset of 11 peers, work schedules that we can forward that on as soon as we receive that. But again, looking at the 50 percentile, so again, we've adjusted these, data points for each of the peers for cost of living, and then placing it on a bell curve at the 15 percentile, so which puts half of your peers paying less than you, half of your peers paying more than you, so right in the median of your market. At the minimum of your pay range, when looking at these 11 peers, you're roughly 9.8% below the minimum, again, pay range, so the minimum starting salary for your pay ranges in comparison to these 11 peers. At the midpoint, you're roughly 16.3% below that of your market peers. And then at the maximum, and your pay range is roughly 21.5% below that of your market peers. So you'll notice here the average range spread for this subset of 11 peers is roughly 61.9%. So they're actually a little bit wider than the original peer set that we use. So this is, again, why you're losing ground going from the minimum starting salary to the maximum earning salary, because again, your average range spread is 45.9%. So your ranges are on average narrower than that of this subset of market peers. So you're losing ground from your minimum to your maximum. And again, this is looking overall at all 74 classifications that were used in the market survey. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I believe this is just to address the concerns that we were asked to include the 8 members of our cohort group, which we were missing 3. Evergreen was missing 3. And to add them to the 8 as well as the county government, I think Ms. Turner asked for Somerset, and of course we had Northampton County. And I would also like to point out that Evergreen is a national company. This is what they do nationwide. They were competitively selected through an RFP process, and any inference that their data is skewed, it is evidence-based, and any inference that it is not is unfounded. Are there any other questions about this, or can we move on to the classified, which Mr. Woodward had asked us to look at?
I would like to just talk about, I'm just gonna randomly pick a couple of people from here. And I guess my question is, where were these people on the old salary scale, and did they change when they moved to the new salary scale?
Really, honestly, when I arrived, this is what I was given. So I wouldn't even say we had a salary scale.
And I'd like to point out that this board removed the maximum from those pay ranges several, 3-5 years ago, because they had not been changed since the Yarber scale that had occurred prior to my coming here in 1992. So realizing that these were very much outdated, this board voted to remove the maximum.
Did Dr. Benson do these?
Yes, he did, but he based the data off of the Yarber scale. Okay, we had somebody come in prior to 1992 named Yarber, and they did some sort of a compensation study, and they had individual scales. And Dr. Benson did not like having scales. We had, 50+ scales. He did not like that. He wanted pay ranges, which we started off with, and then had he stayed longer, we would have gone to pay bands, grouping, which is kind of what we're doing now. This is where we would have been had Dr. Benson stayed.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? I'm trying to understand. So I'm confused because I'm just trying to understand. The study was based on position
the same premise that Evergreen is using, say, and I'm like one of the ones who's not a teacher, but let's just say I was a teacher for 10 years, and then I want to become an assistant principal. That's kind of like the normal progression. On the old scale had, or old pay ranges, had a kind of different way of doing it, but it follows the same logic. So if I was a teacher for 10 years, I'd start at 1.1 over minimum for the AP, because I had 10 years experience.
Right.
If I wanted to be a coordinator, say, and I had been a teacher for 10 years and a coordinator for 4 years, you start the coordinator, you get half a years for the teacher, and then you would get full credit for the AP job. It's the same premise with Evergreen.
Right, but what if your job when you came here and now you're an administrative assistant, but your job before you came here was that you were waiting tables and
You didn't get credit for that.
Okay.
And if you came as a teacher, and for a teacher, we have career switchers all the time, except for the CTE positions. If you were in communications or in a marketing firm, you got 0 credit for, well, you have to be a teacher first before you can come on this end.
So here's an example. So it looks like the transportation supervisor person has 34.8 years of experience.
Okay. I want to just, I'll get to the transportation person. I just want to make clear, if you look at, I spent my day-to-day, I pulled everybody's file. The files are right there behind Dr. Hall. And I just kind of double-checked, or actually, I would say triple-checked everybody, okay? So, if a person's salary was, as you say, in line with what we were paying them as compared to what we are paying them now, then it really lined up really well. Whereas Ms. Only was saying, if they had, for example, 10 years as a teacher and 9 years as an administrator, that they would get 5 credits for their teaching years, half credits as she described, and 9, and then that person would be placed on step 14. And it lined up just right, okay? We have a few that were right at the top of the scale. So if you look, some of them will say step 25 on this list. They can't get any more raises. That's, except for COLAs. If we do step raises, they don't get a raise. You see what I mean? So it puts limits on what we're paying our people, and it makes things a little more equitable moving forward. Now, I'll point out, right, I'll get to transportation. I just have one more point to make. Talking about this old scale, if you look at the last director on the list that has 25 years of experience, but you just hired this person, okay? That director came to the county with 14 years as a teacher. So that person should have 7 credits. And then that person had 11 years as an administrator. That should place that person on step 18. But we couldn't do it due to, we had to limit the amount of money we could spend on this, implementing this. So that person is now on step 7, but should be, if it's implemented fully, should be on step 18.
And that was the intention with the Evergreen.
Yes.
It wasn't, the intention was not, okay, you were a teacher and you taught for 12 years, but now you become a principal. So you abandoned the principal scale and you hop onto the administrative
Yes.
scales.
Yes. When we had conversations, we talked about that. So the person that you're specifically asking about, the position, the next to the last position there, had 26 years relevant experience. So that person would have been given 13 credits and 9 in the class that they were in. So this is the last example that I wanted to give. But that person should be, according to Evergreen, according to this process, on step 22. But their salary was already over step 22 before the study even began. So you see how much inequity we have? We have people that are like right where they're supposed to be, and then we have people who, due to budgetary concerns, obviously, we didn't want to spend, over our $1 million budget, and obviously, we didn't want to come to you with, giving people $30,000 raises. So we had the people that are still not on the correct scale, not on the correct step where they need to be. And then we have, like this example, since they were already over where Evergreen said, we're not allowed to take them backwards. So they placed them in the next corresponding slot. So you got this person is an A1, and it was placed in the study in step 24, because that was the next available in the salary scale for them to be placed. So we couldn't take anybody backwards.
And TJ, if I can interject, I just wanted to mention, so I think the question was how the pay grades are and within the pay plans were those recommendations came out. So the pay grades were developed by Evergreen in response to your market data, and also that's your external equity piece. But we also looked at your internal equity piece. So we did your job assessment tool where we collected information on the roles and responsibilities of every employee that chose to participate in the study. And we made sure, we checked the internal hierarchy of each position to make sure that they were slotted appropriately into pay grades. So we made the recommendation to slot each position into new pay grades that were updated based on that market competitiveness that we just reviewed. And that internal hierarchy based on the roles, responsibilities, and risks that it carries for the division. So that's how those pay grades were determined for each individual position. And then discussions for determining how employees were moved into those new pay grades were developed in conversation with your division leadership. We wanted to value, so we did the hybrid parity approach as we discussed previously. So the hybrid parity approach gives full credit for time in their current position or their current classification, and half credit for their total tenure with the division. And then in your case, since employees were not always given credit for their outside experience, that was included in the calculation as well. So Evergreen updated the pay grades again based on that market and the internal equity piece, and then the decision for moving employees was based on those tenure and classroom pieces. So when we look at the individual pay grades, that has nothing to do with individual employees in relation to how those positions were placed in those pay grades.
Anyone else have any questions?
I have a hard time understanding the speakers, but you have to be right, but maybe you can answer. So, we're on transportation supervisor. He should be on step 22, but because of his salary now, we need him to step 24.
His old salary.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm not, no way in the world am I saying we should have took money from anybody. But if he goes to step 25 next year, he'll still be above what he should be making, because he should only be at step 22. So my question is, why did we not leave him at step 22? Next year, we move to 23, the year after 24, the year after 25, and then give him a pay raise.
If we'd have moved to step 23, we would have taken money away from him.
We could just freeze his salary, because now you're gonna give a person like that, I'm not taking on this any more person, just like example we're using. Now, next year, he'll move to step 25 and go get
not saying take money from anybody, but it seems to me that you gave him 2 steps just based on his current salary, and you're gonna move him farther ahead, him or her, in the generic term, as the years progress.
I mean, one recommendation I would have, we can identify the people who are in that situation, Mr. Neal, and we could freeze them where they are, and then the other, when people get a step, the people that are over would be frozen to make it more equitable.
And that is the minority, am I correct?
There's not many. There's not very many. We could provide you with a list.
And there were, you had said that there were people who didn't have salaries that were frozen because they were already.
Yes. Yes, we had 2.
Some people you decided to freeze, but not.
Well, because they. I think I know what you're saying. There were 2 individuals who were paid at a level that wasn't even on the scale. They were over the scale for the job that they had. And so they are frozen. They didn't fit in the scale, they're over the scale. This is the inequity that we're trying to fix. You know, I mean, this is having this moving forward for, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now will fix these issues over time. It was never going to get fixed in 1 year because of these things.
But for those 2, they should be frozen, because they're over the maximum of the scale.
Madam Chair, so in hearing, if I'm okay, I don't wanna just, change the subject. I do have a thought or a question, I'm just trying to understand, with regard to the new information that the board requested. It sounds like the gap is actually even wider than based on the original, so where are we? We asked for this, and based on that, I'm just asking, where are we? We can ask questions, I'm not trying to shut it down.
I think we're getting, for me, I think I'm gathering information. I don't know, I can only speak for myself.
I was asking, where are we? That, my question was, where is the board? I wasn't asking, no disrespect, where are we? Because we asked.
So Dr. Johnson would like to know where we are with this.
I have a question that, the information you gave, regarding the administration salaries from the previous one to now, comparing these numbers, there's some of them that have changed since this original one.
There were some people who questioned their years and they were given credit for the correct number of years. So we did update those to make it, to be fair to those people.
And we knew that was gonna happen, I think we told you there were gonna be changes to this, so somebody gets the letter, they're like, how many, call up, say, how many years credit did I get? You give them how many years, and they're like, well, I came here for 5. Oh, okay, we go then, our trustee goes into the file, verifies that they brought 5 years with them, and then we adjusted it.
And the higher years, how does that kind of process this, correlate with the step? So does that, are higher years correlate with the step? Like,
Yeah, the higher years are the total number of years this person has worked for us. Could be that they're working as a teacher or a counselor, or that's also, those years are also included in their administrative years. And then the class years are the years that they have been doing the job that they're doing. Yes.
but the higher years will, I guess, reflect that step, what step they may be, correct?
The higher years is their total number of years they've been working. Most of these people were teachers and counselors.
So they wouldn't get full
Yeah.
credit for higher years necessarily. If you were the teacher would be included in the higher years.
Right.
You're not gonna get full credit necessarily in the
Which is
higher.
half credit.
Right.
Yes.
Right. The class years, you get full credit. So the difference between class years and higher years would be years you don't get full credit.
Does everybody have this 3-sheet paper that I gave you? Because we listened to you, Mr. Whippert, we listened to you, and we asked Allie to help us formulate if we were to raise The minimum salaries, the first page reflects a $14.50 minimum in C1, which are the classifieds. And the number just above that is the total cost. So, our budget was $1 million, and this is north of 1.3 million. So then if you go to the second page, if you raise the C1 to $15 an hour, it raises the cost to just over 1.5 million. And then if you go to the last page, we just added in $15.50 C1 minimum. That would be somebody coming in a C1 position with no experience to $15.50. That brings the cost to north of $1.7 million. So I'm just showing you, we wanted to be able to show you what that would cost if we raise the minimums in the classifieds.
And as we discussed, we can't just raise the C1. It raises the whole scale.
Cascades.
For the classified.
And that 1.7 or 1.5 or whatever, that reflects that.
That reflects the whole scale being moved. It's basically 20%. If you go from 1350 to 1550, whatever.
Is that plus the 1 million? That's included?
That's included.
Yeah, so it would be an extra 327,000 and change for the first option, a little over $500,000 for the second option in additional funds that would be needed, and over 700,000 for the third option in additional funds that would be needed.
How does that affect our budget?
So this is a transition year for us with ending ESSER as of yesterday and trying to close that out and trying to make sure all the positions are filled. As you know, we do have carry forward. You never recommend using carry forward for anything other than one-time money, and this is recurring. However, I do think that we have enough of a cushion there, and I'm paid to be conservative, so I feel comfortable with the $15. I know it's not quite what Mr. Woodward asked us to look at, but the $15.50 really kind of scares me. So I do feel comfortable with the $15.
Would it help if we, and I've talked about this with Mr. Johnson, but would it help if we phased it in so people would start at 13, and then after 6 months of good performance and good attendance, they would move to 14?
Payroll nightmare. Because it's not just payroll and getting the changes in, it's reflecting their VRS credits. You have an annual salary in VRS. So that's one of the things that's been so tough with this change right now, is not only did everybody have to go in and be changed, we had to change it to VRS, put it in the new ERP, but yes, anything's possible, but it would be hard to keep track.
So with the new ERP, would that be a nightmare, as you said, or would it be easier?
It would be, everything's gonna be easier after we get used to the new ERP. Everything should be. And one other thing that I'd like to point out, every year, okay, so like the year that Dr. Hall became superintendent, we all got a 7% raise, right? And what we did is we don't give a step and a COLA. So from now on, we're gonna give a step and a COLA. Because let's just take me, if I'm at the top, I don't get the 5% to 7% because I'm at the top. The only thing you can get is a COLA. So you look at your step differential. So let's say we get 5% next year. And let's say a step is 3, and I don't know what the steps are. Let's say the step is 3. You give a step, and then you give a 2% COLA. So the whole scale moves up 2%. So we're not stuck 5-10 years from now, even though I won't be here, Mr. Johnson might be, having a scale that's outdated. So you are adjusting the scale every year with a COLA, and that way you also keep people from just going. There's a ceiling. But the whole scale would adjust by the COLA amount, but we would give a step. If you're at the top step, you don't get a step. And then you get a COLA. Excuse me?
Can you tell people what COLA is?
Sure, it's cost of living increase. Cost of living increase, and you can look at the national cost of living or whatever, but typically what we've been doing over the past,
5+ years, is we give whatever the governor tells us. And we match it, because we're not gonna leave state money on the table. So if he gives us a 7% raise like he did a couple of years ago, and our step differential is 3, everybody will get a step, which is not always what it's been, because we didn't have steps for these admin classified people. Now we do. So let's say the step is 3, everybody would get 3, and then they would get a 4% COLA, if you're at the top. And the bottom would go up 4%. So see, then you won't be able to stop hiring people and recruiting people, because your minimums are moving. So hopefully it will keep us competitive.
Also, if you vote tonight to raise the classifieds, any and all, also the hourly rates that we talked about, next time, or next month sometime, we'd like to bring a proposal to increase minimum the people who are hourly. We've talked about that at length, like SSMs. Substitutes to reflect whatever our hourly minimum would be, because they get paid now like one sum. So we would then also try to reflect that for any of our hourly or daily rate people, that would be the minimum amount they get per hour.
Who is considered classified?
Anybody that's not an admin or a teacher, pretty much. And you can be 10-month or 12-month, but the short answer.
Next year, we're gonna, bring in the monitors, instructional assistants, and I thought that's what
Instructional assistants would be included in this.
They're classified. Everybody's in this study except for teachers. Everybody.
Before I go, I just need to know what I'm looking for, because you said 2 different things in my hearing. I wrote down 2 different things, so I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And I'm pretty good, and I'm not guilty.
Okay.
So you just said that next year, we will factor in the people who are only making the $13, like this.
Next meeting.
Okay.
I would it would be up to you all when you want to implement it, but I would bring you a proposal to increase the minimum hourly rate as been requested, and then a proposal to increase minimum daily rates, like for example, for a substitute nurse, substitute bookkeeper, long-term substitutes, so on and so forth.
Okay, I understand that.
Why don't we let him do that for our next meeting?
Okay.
To sort of map it all out.
Well, we didn't bring it this meeting because we have no idea where it's going.
Right.
And we needed okay, we vote for $15 an hour, and we'll come back next time and say, okay, it will cost us this to implement this for the SSMs and the substitutes. That's the reason we thought it was enough information out here. We'll be happy to do that, but do you want us to do 3 different levels?
I would say, we are very interested in the $15 an hour, but we would like to see how many people that's gonna affect, and we would like to see the total cost.
Sure.
1.5 total cost.
Yes,
exactly.
it's in the second page. The total cost, $1,525,671.18 approximately. That's
And how many employees?
that's all the classified. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's everybody in the study. But we're only adjusting the classified to the minimum. 14, 50, 15, 15, 50.
51, is that the magic number?
Number of employees?
Yeah.
That my guess was about say 350.
Oh, it's right here.
Okay.
Right here.
Is that it?
So if you look on the page that you have there, it says classified employees, number of employees, 258 employees. Yeah, it's the same on all of them, it should be. We have 258 classified employees, 56 bus drivers, 35 administrators, for 349 total employees affected.
Yeah.
person is classified.
Yeah, they are.
I honestly don't know how that happened because I use the same spreadsheet each time. This has come from the Evergreen spreadsheet, so I don't know how that happened.
Ms. Conley, you said that the money is available?
The $1 million was budgeted, and I am saying that I would support using option 2 for the extra half, $1 million, because I do feel that we have a comfortable cushion. This is a big transition year for us, losing Esser and seeing how everything's gonna map out. And so I do, while I don't like to use one-time money to find recurring things, I feel comfortable in doing that.
Professional?
My only
I said
question
you're
is,
professional. Glenn?
okay, I'm sorry, my only question is we're at 1.5 going to the $15 minimum. And I understand what you're saying about having to raise like part-time bookkeepers or substitutes and substitute nurses. Is that gonna change this number or is all that been factored in? You just don't have it here for
It's a different pot of money, so we pay substitutes. I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you.
They weren't included in the study, they're
Right.
not full-time contracted employees.
Okay, I
The
just.
study was full-time contracted.
Thank you for the clarification.
So the $15, does that include the trickle effect that we talked about earlier? So 15 is minimum, something we're gonna go up. Yes.
That's, you asked Natalie in the meeting, what is the lowest anybody can be paid, and she said $13.50, now it would be 15.
Right.
And the scales are still maintaining their integrity with the positional differences.
So the 1.5 is, that's including the hourly people that you're talking about?
Not the hourly, because they're not full-time contracted. We don't want to leave them behind.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you voted to implement the 15, we would come to you with a proposal as early as next meeting to raise those folks up as well, and then give it a start date and get your approval.
I make a motion that we accept that. The $15 per hour.
Yes, ma'am. I can go with this. We have reached a consensus that we don't wanna make important decisions in real time, and we're making a decision in real time. So I'm just bringing back what the consensus was. I'm sitting here confused, and I need time to absorb this information. That's what I heard last time, is that for important decisions like this, the consensus was we need time. So I feel heard, and I'll go with whatever y'all do.
So, what would y'all, I think, Ms. Sunday and Mr. Johnson wouldn't like to vote, but would y'all like to wait until one more, to the next meeting to do this?
We don't necessarily need you to vote on it. I'm just giving you the options. If you need time to think about it, 100% understand. But just know you have options and know, Ms. Huntley believes that we have the money to support these things.
I got another question. Can you use the 200,000 you stated the SSOs to put towards that, or is it one-time money?
Is that risk?
Okay.
I can definitely use the at-risk money for the SSMs,
Okay.
because that's definitely qualified.
So there is still a motion on the floor, unless you would like to withdraw it, to go with the $15 an hour for this group.
start. I've been attending some of the sports events, so everything is going well there. I also wanted to remind everybody here that if you are participating in the training next Tuesday, you do need to contact the SBA to get the Zoom link, unless you plan to go to Charlottesville.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson, are you ready? Oh, around, okay, so, I wanted to get all that, I just wanted to say thank you, Shake Kid, and everything was so nice, they were very sickly gym floor, and I appreciated their whole, they rolled out the hospitality wagon for us, and the whole school just looks fabulous, really, I love all the decorations. I've been contacted by several parents whose children get on the bus very, very early, and, I feel strongly that it's 7:30 is too early of a start time for school, and I wish going forward next year, I would like for us to look at the school start time. Because, children are getting picked up before 6, it's very dark out, it's not safe. Mr. Taylor?
I just wanted to, what, Ms. Bowman, Ms. Turner said about the Shake Take Gym, looks really good. Appreciate the Shake Take hospitality and also their presentations.
I like also say thank you to Tues Elementary School for welcoming us here, nice hospitality, and excellent presentation from all the students, the family, the teachers, and the principal. And I also like to congratulate for having all green. So we need to get all schools to get all green. Thank you.
Mr. Whitaker?
I would say the same thing, thanks to KT for hosting this, it's been a good meeting. I also want to give special thanks to Mr. Johnson and Selma for coming up with these numbers for the compensation, so I really appreciate it.
Mr. Nail?
I kind of agree with everybody else. I enjoyed being here tonight. I really enjoyed the presenters. And just let everybody know for the record, I agree with the young man. I like the recesses myself.
We all.
Thank you for giving me a moment, because I have a lot on my mind. I will give 2 comments. The first is, I really enjoyed Parent University. I wasn't able to attend the first one, and while I sent a note to Ms. Haney, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to everyone that was involved with planning and carrying that out. I do wish that we had, I'm echoing what others have said, so I don't own this, but I do wish that we had more parent participation. I'm not 100% certain, I don't remember if the sessions were recorded. It was such great information, and it's just a personal thing. I wish that more parents were able to get, to have, gotten information at that time. And my only other comment is I just wanted to acknowledge that I represent the board on the county audit committee. I did attend the monthly meetings resumed. I attended the meeting on September 12th. I sent meeting highlights to you, Madam Chair. I'm guessing you'll have any questions, and the monthly meetings will continue for the foreseeable future, and I'll continue to send updates. That's all.
Thank you. And when is our deadline? Is it November 30th or?
Which deadline?
The deadline for us to submit our numbers, our information to the county audit. Remember, there's,
Yes.
November 30th. Today.
I didn't have it in front of me.
Yes, good evening. Our first division newsletter is gonna go out this week, it's really, really good. So I wanted to address one issue, and that was that, in the superintendent's update, the 20th, I had put in on the superintendent's part, the superintendent's message, that, I got a call from the state superintendent who received a call from the attorney general, because our sheriff had contacted, Senator Eastep and said that our schools had interfered with a threat investigation. So she called me and she was telling me about what was going on and how I got back to her. So at that time,
statements, and I would send them to her. So on the 20th, I spoke with Dr. Raleigh, who was the chief of staff there at the Department of Ed. And we had some discussion about MOUs and things like that and what these allegations were. So I sent them the information from Ms. Giddens, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jordan, and myself, outlining what had happened in the case that he was talking about. And so I sent it to her, and then they sent me a response back. The one thing, on the 23rd, the one thing that we did not know, I had never heard of, and no one had ever said, that our MOU that we have with the Sheriff's Department is supposed to be on the website. So on the 23rd, I contacted Brian, and he put it on the website. It is on the website. He put it on there on the 23rd. So also, I went through what she had said. And what is said in here is consistent with our MOU. And I had one question that I went back to ask them because it is alluded to that we had a threat, but we did not do a threat assessment. And so we didn't have a threat. All the information, everything indicated, all the investigation said that there was no threat made. So I asked Dr. Raleigh, and for our future knowledge, so that we will know, and said, so we know how to do threat assessments. We do them every day, basically every day. And that's because you'll have someone that might make a threat. If there is no threat, who do you do the assessment on? So I asked that question in an email back to them. I have not received the answer because the schools did not do a threat assessment because they did not have, if there was no threat. It was two young ladies having a conversation with each other. And the principals at both schools had done a thorough investigation. The SRO was there at the investigation. And, but that's what happened. It went to the State Department and we got a response back. And my plan was to share it at this meeting because it's the next meeting afterwards, but I understand that you guys will get a copy of, the chair told me that you have a copy of it, so that's why I didn't have a copy of it. Questions? Okay, that's all. So do the Sheriff's Department need a warrant to get, if they're investigating and they want to talk to a child to get the demographic information, name, address, phone number, they would need a warrant? No, no one said anything about a warrant. If it's an incident, and I stated this before, if there is an incident that happens not in our educational facility or anything like that, then there are school divisions that do say if you want something that happens, something happened in this instance, and then
doing good with that. I mean, we doing with elementary kids, quite a bit.
So, just to clarify, so some girls said they overheard a statement.
No, I didn't overhear anything. The girls were being fresh mouth, and they were talking about a situation where, two kids were, I guess they were talking, one boy was talking about another kid's mother, from the information. And two girls were talking about that conversation that the boys had. And they were having a conversation, and nobody, and
So no threat was ever made?
no, when the principal went and asked the young man, and I don't know if the SRO was here tonight, I don't know if she was here on it, but when the principal went to get the young man the question, he's like, you know what they're talking about. And he made a comment that he was gonna tell his mom to stop letting his sister come to games because she didn't know how to put stuff together, she didn't know what to say, and she was just always running down. No threat was made at all.
Providing, share questions come to the school with it.
Yes, but that was when all these threats were going around and everything, and I didn't ask for any investigation. I said that, we based on all the threats that are out there, if someone heard about this incident, I did not want them to think that we weren't doing anything. And I said, if your officers are in the area, could they circle the parking lot to show more police presence? I didn't say anything, and Ms. Jordan can, attest to that. I didn't say anything about doing an investigation, because the principal had already done an investigation. Because we always talk to, I have talked to the sheriffs ever since I've been, if there are threats going around, and like I said, at this time, there were threats every day, all day long, at all the schools, the high schools. And that's what I told him. I said, can your presence, we do it all the time. Can you have your officers circle around in the parking lot? Things like that. Nobody said anything about doing an investigation. We do them all the time, the threat assessment. Anytime a kid says, I'm gonna kill you, a 5-year-old or 6-year-old says, anytime we do a threat assessment on that child. So. And to answer your question, I don't know why he said that.
The board will now, adjourn to closed meeting.
Board will adjourn to closed meeting as allowed by section 2.2-3711, Code of Virginia, subsection A1, personnel, subsection A2, student matters, and subsection A7,